Hello chess enthusiasts, my name is Miha and welcome to my chessrealm YouTube channel. So let's take a look at the sixth game from the World Championship match between Nepo and Ding. In the game, Ding had white pieces and he started with d4, knight to f6, knight to f3, d5, and now bishop goes to f4, and we have London system. As it was pointed out by the commentators, London system was played for the first time in the World Championship matches. Now c5, targeting pawn on d4, e3, defending, knight to c6, knight from b goes to d2, c pawn captures on d4, e pawn recaptures, normal development moves followed, bishop goes to f5, c3, e6, bishop to b5, bishop to d6, attacking bishop on f4, bishop captures on d6, queen recaptures, and now white castles king side and black does the same. Rook goes to e1, further supporting e5 square, and now h6 was played. Now this move was questioned later by the commentators. White definitely wants to deploy knight on e5, double attacking knight on c6. White, of course, cannot capture or d-pawn recaptures, and there is fork. So maybe queen to c7, avoiding immediate fork, would be better continuation. Anyway, in the game, knight indeed jumps on e5. So white intends to capture knight on c6 with bishop, and then we have knight on dark square e5 square and bishop on white square, so strategic advantage for white. Black doesn't allow capturing, so knight goes to e7. Now a4, a6, attacking bishop. Bishop goes back to f1. Maybe black should have tried with a5, blocking white's a pawn. You'll see later why is that important. Instead, knight to d7 was played. Another inaccuracy. Knight captures on d7, queen recaptures, and now a5. So white is protecting b6 square and intends to deploy knight to c5. Black wouldn't be able to drive it away, and that would be a big strategical advantage for white. Queen goes to c7 was played in the game. Queen to f3, rook from f to c8, and now rook to a3. Later labeled by Ding as a very useful waiting move, still keeping the rook on the a file, protecting a pawn, waiting for black's next move. Well, bishop to g6 was played. Knight goes to b3, preparing knight to c5. Knight goes to c6, double attack on pawn on a5. Well, now we are entering complications. White has to defend the a pawn. And in the game, queen to g3 was played, offering the trade of queens. Yeah, then pawn on a5 would not be endangered. White has a good position, and so black declines the trade. Queen to e7 was played. Pawn on a5 is no longer twice attacked, but white has to be careful. If, for example, white plays knight to c5, now this is a very strong outpost. Knight to e6 is also a threat. If f-pawn captures, bishop on g6 is no longer protected. But then knight captures on a5. Rook recaptures, and then b6 forking rook and the knight. Of course, white can gain the pawn back by playing rook captures on a6, b-pawn captures on c5. Even if rook captures on a8, rook recaptures, material and position is totally equal. In the game, white plays a sneaky move h4, preparing h5, driving the bishop away if necessary. Now this move bears a very nice idea behind. Black continued with rook to e8, and now knight finally jumps on c5. Now let's see. If black captures pawn on a5, then h5, attacking the bishop. Bishop can retreat to h7 or even capture on h5, doesn't matter. The point is it's no longer on g file, and now white captures knight on a5. Even after b6 fork, then knight captures pawn on e6. White threatens mate on g7. So black would have to capture the knight with pawn, because e6 square is protected by the rook, and then rook captures pawn on d5. Pawn cannot recapture, or there goes our queen. Bishop is also attacked. Maybe after bishop to f7, rook to e5, d5, pawn push is inevitable, even if material is equal. White is in a winning position, but I'm not going into details on a proper way for white to continue. In the game, e5 was played. White cannot capture, or there goes our knight. So rook goes to b3, leaving the a pawn defenseless, and now black captures pawn on a5, attacking the rook. And now we have intermediate move, rook to e5, attacking the queen. Queen goes to f6, and now rook back to a3, knight to c4, forking both rooks, so white has no other option but to capture knight on c4. D pawn recaptures. Now white can capture pawn on b7, but then maybe queen to b6, attacking the knight, and pawn on b2. Knight cannot go back to c5, or rook captured, and there goes the defender of the c5 square. In the game, h5 was played, attacking the bishop. Well, maybe not the best move here. Black had the chance to equalize after rook captures on e5, d pawn recaptures, queen goes to d8, bishop is at stake. Yeah, that's true, but if h pawn captures on g6, then white is a piece up, but then queen to d1 check, king to h2, as there isn't any other option, queen to h5, and if king to g1, we have a perpetual check. If white defends with queen to h3, then queen to e5, double attack on the king and the knight, and the game is equal, if not slightly favorable for black. In the game, bishop goes to c3, knight captures on b7, queen to b6, double attack on the knight and pawn on b2, knight goes to d6, attacking the rook on e8, queen cannot capture knight, because then rook captures on e8, discover attack on the queen. So in the game, rook captures on e5, queen recaptures, and now queen captures pawn on b2. Rook is at stake, so rook goes to a5. Black cannot capture pawn on c3 with queen, because then knight goes to e8, threatening mate on g7. If f6 defending, then knight captures. If g pawn recaptures, queen to d5, double attack on the king and the rook. With king in the open, this is winning for white. So in the game, king to h7 was played. Nice defensive move. If now knight goes to e8, then queen to c1 check, king to h2, and then rook captures on e8. Queen recaptures, king to f4, and white cannot escape perpetual check. Well, position is very difficult to calculate, so we can forgive Ding for not finding the best move. Queen to e1, very awkward, but defending the c3 pawn, retaining the advantage. So in the game, rook to c5 was played, preparing to play rook to c7, further harassing black king. Well, pawn on c3 should have been captured, but black also blunders. Queen to c1 was played, check. King goes to h2. Pawn on f7 is still under attack, so pawn goes to f6, attacking the queen. Queen to g3, targeting g7. At some point preparing rook to c7 with mating threats, but currently rook has to protect g5 square, because queen can interfere at any time. a5 was played. Knight captures pawn on c4, a4, and now knight e3. Queen cannot reach g5 square anymore, and bishop is also under attack. Bishop goes to b1 to avoid capturing. Rook to c7. Mate on g7 is coming, but now rook to g8 defending. And now knight to d5 is a very strong move. If black wants to promote a pawn by playing a3, then rook captures on g7, check. rook recaptures, knight to f6 check, king to h8 is the only option, queen to b8 check, rook to g8 and queen to g8 checkmate. So in the game, king to h8 was played, avoiding check on g7. Rook goes to a7, attacking pawn, pawn to a3, where it is defended, and now knight to e7, attacking the rook, and the only defender of the g7 pawn. Rook goes to f8. Now white is clearly winning. One way is to play knight g6, forking king and the rook. Black would have to capture with a bishop, but then h-pawn recaptures, threatening queen to c7, creating serious back rank mate problems. So black would have to play queen b2, queen c7, rook to g8, defending g7 square, and after queen f7, white threatens to capture rook on g8 and then rook to a8 with mate. So after queen to b8 check, then queen g3, black is totally paralyzed, and white would push c and d pawn all the way, and white is winning. In the game, d5 was played, protecting e6 square, a very nice idea. You'll see later why. Black pushes pawn to a2, grabbing the bait, and now queen to c7. Now, once this knight is gone, if it delivers checks, for example, then queen to g7 is checkmate. There isn't much to be done here. King h7 was played, avoiding immediate check. Knight goes to g6. Queen to g7 is checkmate, so rook to g8 defending, but it's all in vain. Queen to f7 is the last nail in the coffin. If black plays, let's say, queen to g5, targeting h5 pawn, white is still on the move and plays queen captures on g8, king recaptures, rook to a8, check, king f7, and rook f8 checkmate, because e6 square is now protected. It's very far seeing from Ding, would you agree? And if, for example, bishop captures on g6, then h-pawn recaptures, king to h8, queen captures on g8, king recaptures, rook to a8 is checkmate. But anyway, realizing that the end is near, in this position, Nepo resigned the game. So I hope you like this game, I hope you have learned something from it. If you have any questions, my email is below in the description. Of course, I invite you to visit my Instagram page. That's it for now, and see you soon.